Hey guys, Chris here with Work to Game, and today I'd like to talk a little bit about PUBG and why GameSpot has chosen not to allow it to be considered for Game of the Year. And it's really an interesting conversation with the shift in gaming. We've talked a lot about the shift in gaming lately because we're seeing all these small examples within gaming start to get pushed all the way to their limit, right? So you're starting to see lawmakers and stuff start to consider whether or not we should do loot boxes because the ESRB, the self-regulating body for gaming, isn't necessarily keeping up, and so marketing these to gaming can be seen as predatory behavior. And today we want to talk about early access. A lot of games have been staying in early access, and they've been avoiding leaving the term alpha or beta for huge extended periods of time. And this gets longer and longer and longer, and you end up with these games, and I'm sure you can think of a few, that stay in this state, this non-complete state, for almost the entire duration, if not the entire duration, that they are popular. And so PUBG is one of those games. Now, to be clear, PUBG has announced that December 20th of 2017, their PC version will be considered complete and will have its 1.0 launch. Meanwhile, Xbox finally joined the party at December 12th, and they're saying that that could be up to 6 months behind, which means there will be a PUBG Complete for 2017 and a PUBG Complete for 2018, depending on your platform. They're not, cross-play and stuff is a whole nother conversation with them and with games in general. So what is the issue here? Well, because they have stated that it was early access, you have to take everything with a grain of salt. So it gives them this immense lifting of the burden of anytime you have an issue. If the servers go down, if there's a balance issue, if certain clients are crashing or anything like that, if any issue with the game, they can say, well, that's just not done yet. And anything that's good with the game, they can say, thank you very much. And so this makes it very hard, and GameSpot has actually said that it shouldn't be in the running for Game of the Year. And that's an interesting concept, is should these games be eligible for awards if they're not willing to take full criticism? If you're not done, then you can't win an award, right? Meanwhile, these people over here have had to say it's done, and they've had to take their lumps, things like Call of Duty, things like Destiny 2, things like, Battlefront. These are all games that had launch dates, and they're getting slammed in the press for features that they could have just claimed, oh, sorry, you guys just didn't know that that was our beta test of that feature. And then they could have just shrugged it off. And so PUBG doesn't really deserve that. Now the question becomes, first of all, if it's launching on a platform in 2017 officially, and it's launching on a platform in 2018, which should it be considered for? Now obviously if you have an Xbox Game of the Year or a PC Game of the Year, it's very clear that you just look at when that platform launches. But otherwise, we now have 2 release dates. And if this was just 2 release dates because, that wouldn't be weird, except that this is a game that has had a major impact on 2017. This is a huge game within the space. And Brian and I haven't really dove into it yet, mostly because we're not PC gamers, Microsoft gamers. We play cross-platform PC games, but that's because I'm on Mac and he's on PC, so we play games that we can play together, and that's still a significant number, but we mostly focus on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, traditional console games. And so, seeing a game make this much of an impact and not having hands on it, I can't talk a whole lot about the gameplay yet. But now that it's on Xbox, I look forward to getting back to you on that. So, to get totally back on subject here, the question is, when they start the race, right, when they say they're ready for 1.0, where do the stats count back to? When they become a Game of the Year next year, does that technically make them like the rookie Game of the Year because they have this amazing number of sales for a first-year game? Or does all of that wipe? And so it'd be interesting to see if you just said anything pre-sales, any of those things don't count. Pre-sales, early access, all those sales, the only thing you can report on is things after launch day. And that would be interesting only because it would penalize games for having these extremely long pre-orders, extremely long alphas, betas, early access periods, and say you're not eligible to be recognized, and so you can't be Game of the Year. And so these Game of the Year editions, these, that kind of trigger a fresh wave of collector's editions, I know that their first and foremost thing is getting people in the game, buying eyeballs, right? They want players playing the game, enjoying the game, and they want sales to go with that. So these awards are not the same as an Oscar. It doesn't have the same level of respect at this point in history. That's not to say it won't. But as we start to see things like, you know, Gran Turismo partnering with the International Racing League or whatever, you're starting to have a very real relationship. As you start to see gamers go through very real, you know, legal issues regarding this, there's a lot of money on the table. And where there's a lot of money, there's a lot of people interested. And not all those people interested are worried about the gameplay. So as you start to talk about awards and the marketability of awards, I think it's good that PUBG is not going to be eligible for GameSpot's Game of the Year. And the question is, how many other awards are they not eligible to win? And do they deserve that? I would say wholeheartedly yes. I think that's an incredibly interesting concept, and I think that it speaks volumes about where we're at in this industry, that you can have a game make such an impact in early access. So if you had an issue with PUBG, that was a pre-launch issue. And on December 20th, they're going to have to finally say, oh, well, now we're ready to go live. We had a great 1.0 live. It was so smooth. It's like, well, yeah, you had like the longest early access of 2017. I can't think of another game that's been in early access longer. So that's just my thoughts. I'd love to know you guys' thoughts. It's nice to take a break from talking about Destiny 2, and I think PUBG might take a little bit of Brian and I's spot in the rotation, now that Destiny 2 seems to be in a position that Bungie wants it to take a back seat in all of our minds because they don't have their act together. So definitely let us know in the comments below. Should PUBG be considered Game of the Year? Should they leave those nominations open to games that have been willing to take their criticism in full? Or do you see that as something else? Does it deserve to be early access? Is what they did really something that deserves to have that ability to have that long before market? I think it's very hard as a consumer to want to buy a game that's in early access, but then it's very hard to want to buy a game that there's other people who've been on it for a year. That doesn't seem fair. So it's a weird spot to be in. So my name's Chris with Work2Game. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. I look forward to seeing your comments. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.
Hey, Chris, your shirt's pretty looking.
You know, honestly, it doesn't have Work2Game anywhere on it, but I like to support the channel.
Yeah.
So,
well, you know, you can do that and also have a good-looking shirt.
I don't really want that shirt. You think maybe it could be a different shirt? Well, cool. I think I'm going to click on one of the links somewhere around here, and I'm going to go see what we got.
Check the link below. It's really, really, really good.
You guys have a great day.
Take care.
You probably have a pretty shirt on.